You're listening to the Never Heard of It podcast,
a Night Shift Radio original. Every week we bring you the good,
the bad,
the weird,
and lesser-known streaming movies.
Hit subscribe for new episodes every Thursday and Sunday. So we're back again for episode 2. This is pretty exciting, and we have Mr. Todd Panic, Captain America himself over here.
Welcome back.
Yes. Warning, no actual Captain America is featured here today. All right, good. You got the disclaimer out of the way.
Got that out of the way. It reminds me of that scene in Men in Black, and be like, boys, Captain America over here.
They can't prove you're not.
That's right.
That's the great thing about being Captain America is no one can prove you aren't.
I continue to hold out hope that we will perfect the super soldier serum. It's not just steroids, and there you go. So. And we can go back in time for about 30 years ago as a young 21-year-old man.
Right.
Yeah, I'd be ready to serve my country again. So.
Yeah, I mean, so Todd, you're exactly 10 years older than Caleb and I. Mm-hmm. And so what age would you take the super soldier serum? Like if you had to choose, like if it was like, okay, we could take you to any point in your life, what year, what age do you want to take the serum?
I think 30 years ago, 21. I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
I think that as the smallest kid in the class who was often bullied, I think you learn empathy for the suffering of others. And I think Steve Rogers would still have been a good person despite the fact that he was the 40-pound weakling. But that didn't hurt. So I got that. I'd probably hang on to that, and then there you go, 21. Bam.
21?
Captain
right.
Todd. Yeah.
Caleb, what do you think? What age would you have taken it at?
I mean, assuming that it will work its wonders and do some repair and shoring up of the various pieces of me, I'd take that shit right now.
You would take it right now? Okay.
I'm pretty comfortable with where I am in my life at this point, but if it meant feeling real good and extending that for a while, yeah, I'd do that right now.
You do it right now? I think I would do 30. 30 was a decent, I was physically feeling really good, everything was about where I really felt like I didn't look so much like a kid as much because I looked like a kid for a very long time. I always looked super young. Even up to only 2 years ago, people were like, "You're 38? Oh my God." Now I'm 40, but then people were like, "Oh my God, I thought you were 25." Now that I'm 40, I kind of look a little closer to 40. So I would probably go 30, where I still looked young. I was still, in good health. But if I took it at 30, I'd take an additional 70, 80 years on top of that.
And that's the thing is I have never been mistaken for young. I have never looked young. I told you the story plenty of times about the carny who thought I was 40 when I was 27 or something.
Well, my big question, Caleb, when did you get the gray hair? Because I feel like that's a really,
14.
kind of defining look. You're kidding, really?
It started at 14.
No kidding.
It has been as long. I have known Caleb for almost 20 years now. His hair has been gray the entire time I've known him.
Well, there you go. Also, to be clear, I would not turn down the super soldier serum now. I would just make that clear.
Right.
Anytime 21 through now, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
That's the thing is I don't think that I was mentally mature enough or emotionally mature enough in any point before now in my life. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And I also feel right now, I am objectively on the downward slope of my physical peak, and so to be able to pick myself back up, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But yeah, I mean, I had full beard in high school. I started going gray at 14. I have been showing the physical signs of aging for a very, very long time, and as much as I've learned to embrace it, I wouldn't mind putting the pause on for a little while.
How long have you been 40? A while.
40 is a good age, honestly. I am perfectly comfortable with where I am. It's just where I'm going that I'm afraid of.
Well, if it's any consolation for you, certainly growing up, 51 seemed like that would be old. I don't feel old other than the creaks and cracks,
Sure.
as I move around, other than those kind of mechanical things. So, I think there's hope for you. So be optimistic about your next 10 years.
I'd like to be able to drink a beer again. Speaking of which, what are we drinking?
Well, I wasn't going to feature it. I had one left of the Tropicoastal from last week, which is delicious. So that's what I'm finishing that one up.
Love it.
That's nice. I see, but the other thing about the super soldier serum, to bring it back, is you do always have the fear of ending up like Emil Blonsky. Emil Blonsky? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Okay. In my head, I was like, yeah, that's totally his name. And then as I was about to say it, I was like, nope, that's a made up name.
Right.
Like that's not
a thing.
name.
That's not a thing.
Yeah.
What a pleasant surprise. Should we jump right into it? I feel like you gave us the
Jump
perfect
right into
segue.
it. Yeah, we got there.
What a pleasant surprise. It literally is we had that shot outside the prison. One, I loved that they're building the infrastructure of, okay, how do we deal with metahumans or superhumans?
Yep.
They're going in and I'm like, please let us get Tim Roth. Please let us get Tim Roth. And voila, we got Tim Roth, right?
Yeah, and he just name drops, sort of subtly name drops Thunderbolts, right? The seven souls, his seven soulmates that want to buy a property with him.
Oh,
Isn't that Thunderbolts?
shit. Next, maybe.
I definitely had a note for that because he mentioned it twice, and that felt like a very specific reference. Once I could do as a throwaway joke, like my seven soulmates who I've connected with in prison. Okay, those are the lovelorn, pen pals.
Sure.
But the second time, I'm like, that's specific. That means something. I didn't think
I mean, he was
Thunderbolts.
very like seven soulmates I met in prison.
I think you're right. My first thought was, is this a segue to the larger Hulkverse, like Leader and Doc Samson, like all the Gamma affected people? But I think your theory is actually better, and we know Thunderbolts are coming.
Well, we know Thunderbolts is coming.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it's already pretty much set up. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Madam Hydra pop into the show at some point to stop. I mean, Abomination's he's going to get out. He's going to cause trouble again. I mean, at the end of the first episode, he already, so I guess we got our timeline, right? So the end of episode 2 takes place in the middle of Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
So Shang-Chi is happening right now.
So that clears up for me, because when that like ending sequence that we haven't addressed yet happens, I was like, wait, when is this?
So when
does this happen?
So I guess let's rewind to the beginning of the episode. So the very so the very first thing that happens is it's all over the news that She-Hulk stops Titania, which I think is really interesting. Obviously we'll get more Titania, but now we're having superhero influencers, superpowered influencers.
Yeah,
I love it.
That was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
and her costume looks nothing like the original Titania from the original Secret Wars, but that's okay. I love Jamila Jamil. Love her, so I don't care. As long as that's all we didn't get of her. I'm a little bit low key nervous about that.
I love so much that we've reached a point in the 14 years, almost 15 years that this has been going on, where they have figured out to just casually have superpowered people exist, period. We don't need a big introduction. We don't need a whole backstory just to find out who this villain is and why they smashed through the wall of a court. Just like, boom, superpowered person making trouble, deal with it. And these people just exist now. It brings me back to another question I had. I don't remember from the comics, is damage control an invention of the MCU, or were they present in the comics somewhere?
I thought I heard that they were comic based, but they were not Spider-Man. They were some other Spider-Verse character thing, but I'm not entirely sure. Because Shield and damage control are a little too similar, so I'm not sure if this is like their Shield doesn't exist.
I know that there have been government agencies like damage control in the comics before, but I don't remember them specifically existing. And then suddenly, when we have Ms. Marvel discovering her powers and so she's being pursued by damage control, to me that felt like,
which is the same. That was the same agents as the ones in Spider-Man.
Was okay. You're right.
You're
Spider-Man. Any connection to the group that was investigating Wanda? How far back does this go?
I don't know.
So Wanda was not. So first of all, damage control does go back to the comics. I'm seeing an image of an actual title, damage control, #1, and so I have a date here, but before I tell you the date, you can probably get a sense of when based on the cover price of the comic. And it was $1.
Oh shit!
Goes back to 1988.
Yeah,
I was gonna say that's got to be early 80s.
Yeah.
when we were growing up buying comics.
And that's the era that I'm reading comics, and for some reason that just kind of slipped under my radar. I'm kind of surprised at that.
I feel like that must have been one of those things that was just kind of like in an obscure like side group that somebody tried for a while, and then like it fell out of the public spotlight. But like,
like the Sword comics or something.
Yeah,
and
and
the writers of the MCU know exactly how to dig deep in the archives and find something that's going to work with this huge story, and like that alone is like a testament to how good this writing is.
Yeah. Just point of order back to your comment about Wanda. So that was not Damage Control. That was Sword, which was like a follow-on agency after S.H.I.E.L.D., right?
Sword
and then they ended up with, there was another one beyond that I know exists and I don't have a lot of deep knowledge on, but.
Yeah, well, because that's what Sword is, the space. It's a literal sword in space, right? And that's where
I think that's their headquarters,
is assumed to be right now.
Yep.
Yeah, the real Nick Fury. With the real Nick Fury,
please stand up. Thank you.
Yeah. So first episode, it's kind of the fallout of Titania, which I love that in the news report at the very bottom it says, Titania deeply apologizes and said it was low blood sugar, extreme low blood sugar that caused her outburst.
Yeah,
which I think is just hilarious.
And I think that's a great illustration. I'm so happy that we've got. So clearly the tone we got in episode 1 is going to be the tone of the series, right? Like, and I am all here for that, here for all that. It's just amazing.
Yeah. The writing on this show so far has just been absolute. Like, so I rewatched the episode again today and, we'll get to the joke, but the fourth wall break later when she's on the phone with Bruce, still the second time around, I was like an audible, like laugh out loud, like a full on laugh, not just like a, ha, like even though that's what she did, it was still funny. Like a full on, like, oh my God, that is hilarious.
Well, I agree. When she's walking, like doing the office tour for the first time, as she gets this prestigious new job offer, like that feels like a total power move because she's fourth wall breaking like the entire time, talking to us instead of listening to this important lawyer guy.
So what are your thoughts on that? I'm agnostic.
I'll be thinking about that remark for the next year. Yeah, that was perfect.
I've been in that shoes before where I'm like off in my own world and then they're like, yeah, right? And you're like, yes.
That happens to me at least weekly.
You're like, what did I just say yes to?
There was another moment, and I think to your point, Caleb, about just expanding the universe, even if there are things that we don't use now, but we're saying it's there, and who knows if we come back to it. Did you like the little twist in the title logo? She gets fired. She's no longer attorney at law. The title logo was She-Hulk Attorney for Hire.
Oh, I missed that.
I didn't even see that.
That's very good.
And then, of course, I immediately thought, Heroes for Hire? Because could we...
Oh, my God.
Could we... Because, again, the MCU has shown a willingness to say, yeah, look, that inspired this, but this is a new story. And I've been fine with how they've done that. So, I don't know that I've been so excited about what a new series represents for the bigger world than probably all the way back to WandaVision, right? Like that, I feel like, oh my God, the possibilities are endless here.
As much what it could be as like what is actually in front of you. That's,
Yeah, I mean, we know Daredevil's coming in yellow. Yep. We know Yellow Suit Daredevil is coming in the series anytime in the next couple of episodes. You know, I mean, it's only a handful of episodes. We're probably a quarter of the way through. So, we know that like that Heroes for Hire, all the characters are going to coincide.
Could we have an MCU specific iteration of that group? Okay, great. I mean, who knows? Like, we don't like Defenders maybe because it fared so poorly on Netflix. Like, so we'll give me that lineup as Heroes for Hire. Great. Yeah. I'm there. I'm watching it. All right, great.
if someone doesn't try to make a comment to Daredevil about the color of his suit changing and him make a smart ass remark because, blind, I'll be so disappointed.
My suit is yellow?
Wait.
It was red?
It was red?
What is yellow? Yeah.
I specifically said I wanted green.
Deadpool.
That would be really funny. Yeah, so we've got that, and then, of course, because it's a big to-do, her boss fires her. And there's that really interesting moment. It's yet another moment where she's looming over him as She-Hulk, and he's like, could you turn to regular Jen? Because, she's towering over him, which I have been seeing. It seems like there's a little bit of inconsistency with her height. Because like when she's walking around the office, she's not that much taller than her boss. But when we see her in the bar, her new boss, when we see her in the bar, she is like
towering. Yeah.
Like towering over him. And I'm sure maybe that's a height difference then, but it seemed a little too close to me.
How much of that do you think is an inconsistency versus like her like consciously controlling how tall she is in situations? Like, do you think that she's capable of that, given that we know that she can control the transformation?
Like, could she go to 50% Hulk?
Yeah.
Is it?
Or is she just kind of semi-Hulk?
It's plausible, right?
Just a half Hulk.
Right.
Just the hair.
Just
that luxurious hair.
That luxury, yeah. What is when she's at the dinner with her family and the one's like, you could, the hairstylist, we could get you more like She-Hulk hair instead of this.
So
it's so rude.
The scene with her family, just delightful. And Mark Lynn Baker from Perfect Strangers was charming as her dad, right? Like from the the subterfuge to get her out to the garage to check in with her, which was so sweet, to the honey, before you leave, I've got a couple things I could use your help with. Grab the six water bottles. Could you bring those in? Can you lift the car up? We need just delightful all the way around.
Like, who wouldn't do that if you knew someone that was that strong? Like, just a couple of things.
Especially if it was my kid. Like if my daughter was that strong, I'd be like, hey, could you just real quick just lift this up really quick? Like I got to clean under the couch. Can you just lift a in a heartbeat?
I love. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No,
I love her family's assumed. Taking it as just an assumption that, well, of course, like you have all the superhero shop talk, right? Like, so Hawkeye and his arrows, isn't that just dangerous?
This was
and then her mother handing out her phone number. He wants to be a superhero. He's never heard of you. I gave him your number. I mean, every scene after scene, this series is just a home run for me.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's just killing. Her dad asking about the Hawkeye arrows is a legit question, though. Yeah. Like that is something like
dangerous. Just leaving them around.
He's like, just have to go in and pull.
Yeah.
Is there just arrows flying around?
When he said that, Ellen just turns to me. She's like, "Right,
right." Like it is a legit question.
The fam was watching it this morning, and Joseph, our 15-year-old, says, "That's a fair question." Or no, I'm sorry, Jack, our youngest, is like, that's a fair question.
It's a totally fair question. I think it's a very reasonable question. Like, what is Hawkeye walking around picking up arrows after every battle? Here we go.
Sure.
With Kate Bishop behind him, holding all of them.
Oh, my God.
Here,
yes.
hold this. This.
Right.
It's absolutely fantastic.
I can see that he tells her it's going to be like an internship or something like that. It just makes her go.
She's like, all I'm doing is collecting arrows around the city.
But when she puts it on her resume, it's going to read something like, led a critical effort to preserve and recover key organizational resources post-engagement. Right? Like, I picked up the arrows.
Oh, that's very good.
Oh, that's great. Kate Bishop, if you're listening, get that on
That's right, get that on your resume.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, so she gets let go, and then... So, I mean, we might as well talk about the elephant in the room.
Nope.
So here's the big Easter egg that everybody's been talking about. So while she is searching on the web for jobs, we get two notes, one of which is, why is there a giant man sticking out of the ocean? Which is obviously a direct reference to the Eternals and the Celestials sticking out of the ocean. And, of course, the other one, man with metal claws gets into a bar fight.
Oh my God, I totally missed that one.
I missed both of those. I don't know what
Where-
you're talking
wait,
about at
both
all.
of those?
Yes, wait, where was...
What? Oh my God, those are the two biggest Easter eggs. So when she's on the web and you see her computer, on the side, there's like the other stories you may like.
Yeah.
One of them is, why is there a giant man sticking out of the ocean? And the other one is, man with metal claws gets into a bar fight.
Wow.
There's
just-
Wolverine.
It's not even going to be like a world event. It's just, we're just going to slow roll them in. And it's
That's
fine.
why I'm saying
They
like,
just exist.
We
Yeah.
are now at a point where these people are just there, and we're like,
just
we
there.
just get to meet them.
Just
Well,
yeah.
even...
Wolverine's been kicking around for years, being like, yeah, asshole, I've been walking around for years. What have you been doing?
That's right. I was there before we had photo ID. It was a whole lot easier to be 200 years old.
Right.
But even like low key, the damn it, I just had it and it's gone.
No. So I just imagine Wolverine was still with Alpha Flight, like off in Canada, in
yeah.
the middle of Canada. That's why he couldn't help with New York or anything like that.
Have
So-
you guys read and I think he's got at least the first, I could look it up, probably at least maybe first couple dozen issues. John Byrne's reboot of Alpha Flight in the 80s. Or not even a reboot, really like fleshing out the team. You guys
Well,
read...
if it was in the 80s, I might have read
That's
because
it.
I did read the Alpha Flight comics.
That would
back.
be the only time period where I read them, so it would probably
so good, so good. I have tried to find like a collected trade paperback of his, and I did a little digging and came up short. So, but again, John Byrne, She-Hulk, sensational She-Hulk. This, yeah. If any of our listeners, are curious about going back to source materials, you will not go wrong with any John Byrne stuff, including his DC work. I mean, I think him rebooting Superman, Man of Steel was just amazing. So
I would be completely comfortable with Marvel introducing Wolverine via Alpha Flight into the MCU rather than via the X-Men or a solo story or anything like that. Because honestly, in the little bit that I know about Alpha Flight, like nobody quite gets Wolverine better than they do. Like I feel like no team that he's a part of has been able to like actually be like a match for him on the team as Sasquatch and Puck and all of them.
There's a precedent for that. So Captain America's existence is not a secret in World War II. We know that in Black Widow, Red Guardian was the Soviet Union's response to we need our own.
Yeah.
So we could totally just reveal like Canada has been working quietly in the decades since World War II. Canada, an ally of the United States in World War II. They had a little exposure to what was happening there. And we knew we needed our own program to protect our interests. And we didn't create Wolverine, but we found him in the great
in the woods
Northwest
of
there. Yeah, and there you go.
So here's my question about Wolverine, and then we'll get back to She-Hulk. Are they going to make his bones adamantium or vibranium?
Oh.
So
we haven't had adamantium for obvious reasons, right? For legal reasons, but vibranium has been the metal that has driven most of the MCU. I mean, it's the big driving force in Black Panther. Yep. It's going to be the driving force again in Wakanda Forever. It's the driving force in Captain America.
I say it's Cap's shield.
Yeah, Iron Man brings up the whole idea of vibranium. So is he going to be vibranium instead of adamantium?
And, in the source materials, Cap's shield is a mixture of adamantium, vibranium, and some other substance that, almost like the super soldier serum, its creation dies. I think the creator dies in a similar way, like with Professor Reinstein.
So now I'm connecting. So the third story on that page is scientists discover another element.
So there's adamantium. There you go. Yep.
Son of a bitch.
Yep.
That's adamantium is what they discovered. Wolverine already has it.
Already has it. Sure.
Because now it's leaked out into the world because of Weapon X. Holy shit. And we know that Deadpool was part of the Weapon X project in Deadpool 1.
Sure. Have they
it's the Weapon X project.
laid pathways for multiple stories? Absolutely. Yeah, that's perfect. That's really good.
Dang. All right. Well, She-Hulk. Okay. So back to there's just you could get so deep into that. So back to She-Hulk. So she's looking for jobs. She keeps getting turned down. Now, obviously there's we could go the full on PR reason of like nobody wants the publicity that comes with She-Hulk because you're gonna get you're going to get a jury sway, right? Because everyone's going to be like, well, no, the jury's impartial, just like what happened that got her fired. No, the jury's impartial because she's a literal superhero. Like,
of course, we can believe everything she says. Yeah, sure. That would be
she's
prejudicial.
She's a good person, like it leads that. But then there's also the whole implication of like, even though we do get a female sounding birth or female sounding voice in the montage, is that none of the guy lawyers want to hire her because she's intimidating. She's, a 10-foot tall, super powered, bodybuilder sized,
I think, I know that there's, piercing the veil a little bit. I know that there's a weekend coming up where Casey and I are both unavailable due to my son's wedding.
Yeah.
And not that you need to wait for that, but I was thinking as we're watching this, I feel like the female perspective is so well represented. Well, my perception is that the female perspective is really well represented here. I would love to hear anyone from our night shift family, with a female perspective that might speak to, just navigating all that. I thought even her response to getting the job offer, and then learning that they only want her because she's a superhero.
Right.
I wonder, does that resonate with women with the idea of like tokenism or kind of any of those concepts?
100%. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that would. Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. Would definitely have to try to find.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she gets hired at this place, which I think is really interesting because it's what GFK and H.
GLKH.
GLK and H, but did you notice their logo is GLK/H, which is the same as the She-Hulk logo? It's the it's the exact same logo, basically. And I thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, so she does get hired specifically because she's a superhero. He even says to her, while you're in this office and while you're in court, it is expected that you are She-Hulked.
Right.
You are She-Hulked up. You can't be you. You've got to be, She-Hulk.
Luckily, she has bought a bunch of suits that don't fit Jennifer very well.
She even said, she was like, I got to buy a whole new wardrobe for this.
But I love that. And, Bruce gave her the heads up, spandex is your friend. But I love that as She-Hulk, the suit is actually so form-fitting that you see her adjust the coat, right, to close off the cleavage. But then as Jennifer, it's almost baggy. I was like, well, that makes a lot of sense. I thought little tiny bits that just were like those nice finishing touches, right?
Who she reminds me of as Jennifer, in courtroom attire? Michael, do you remember when we covered the Puppet Masters?
Robert Heinlein's The Puppet Masters. One of my.
She reminds me of, and I am drawing a blank on the character's name, but she reminds me of the.
She was also in the movie with Michael J. Fox where he's the doctor in the small town.
Doc Hollywood.
Yeah. Doc Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yes, I like that actress
because the Puppet Masters was released in the late '90s or something like that, and so everyone's in baggy, ill-fitting suits, and she's got that short curly hair, and I'm like, that's who she's been reminding me of.
Was popular.
I keep making the reference. Thank you,
Julie Warner.
Yep.
Yeah,
I keep making the reference to Dirty Dancing, but it's really Julie Warner that she reminds me of.
Right.
Oh my God, that is totally. You're right.
Yes.
Yes. Yep. 100%.
I totally see it. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So she gets her fancy new job. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I just want a little aside. So I love that again. The world is progressing as the world would. Superheroes exist. So, of course, superhero law is going to be an endeavor that some law firms will move into. Read a book a couple years ago that is, I'm not a lawyer. It is incredibly accessible, entertaining, and really well done. It's called The Law of Superheroes. It was published in 2012.
Okay.
James Daly and Ryan Davidson, who are both actual lawyers. And they break down, it's not a small book, but they break down what would the law look like with superheroes, really in an entertaining and informative way. Highly recommend it. You can get it on Amazon or anywhere you get your books. But I'm watching this going, yes, of course, this makes perfect sense. Of course, this is something the world has to grapple with now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it reminds me of that show Powerless, where it was the agency
insurance
that
company
created. Yeah, It was an insurance company for superheroes, and that one existed in the DC universe. Though.
Yes.
But I think that's another think of how many businesses spawned. If we have Titania, who is a superpowered influencer. We know that she's not that unique. We know, as Caleb is saying, like people are just in this world now. Like we're just there. They're just always existed. So like there's gotta be so many separate businesses, like small businesses that cater to the idea of superhero or superhero fandom.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we know like Ant-Man, coming up in Ant-Man Quantumania, like he has a book, he has a crossword puzzle.
This merchandising.
I was not aware of that.
So the whole plot is like he wrote a book about being Ant-Man, and like he has like he's just like merching out completely on the idea of being Ant-Man, like trying to capitalize on it as much as possible, which is very Scott. That is very
brand.
Ant-Man.
It's on brand. Yeah.
Extremely.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be really exciting. But yeah, this is a whole industry out there for it.
You know how you know that, or another little bit that just fully grounds that this is a real world that makes sense. Anyone who's ever worked in an office knows exactly what the most valuable item in that welcome basket was. The map to the good pooping bathroom. If you've worked in an office, you have mapped out, nope, don't go there. That's good for quick trips, but if you need to sit down, you're not picking that one. I watched that laughing my ass off. I'm like, oh my God. Thinking back to my last office gig, I was like, yep, I can tell you which one was the one to go to. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Shit. When I worked in the mall, I used to have the one. I'm like, nope, don't go to the one in the store. You got to take your break and go out to this other one. Yeah. Because it was the one that nobody went to.
Yep.
Right.
You had your privacy. Yeah. Oh, it was really great. For anyone that needs to know, it's the one just as you go into the news section at Destiny USA in Syracuse, New York. There's a little bathroom off to the side that's by the Yogi Boo, whatever place. That's the one to go to.
It's super easy to overlook. Like you don't even realize that hallway's there unless you're looking for a bathroom.
Yep. Yeah. Great bathroom. It's always really good, especially during the day.
Oh my God. That reminds me like my first actual office job. Like when I left retail, there was an office like way down on the first floor. Like actually technically, no, it was in the basement. So it was technically like hidden away. It was publicly available to anyone. Like you could walk in off the street and go to this bathroom if you knew it was there, but you had to know it was there. And it was so quiet.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So we've got that. She's in the new job and she gets her very first case, which as we brought up in the beginning of the show, is to work on the parole of Abomination, who tried to kill her cousin. But I mean, listen, from his perspective though, and even if you watch those movies back, it makes sense. Like his case is like, you don't understand though. Like I was told by the American government, this person is a threat. Go take them down. We're going to make you Captain America.
By any means necessary.
Right. Like he is, when you watch the movie, he's painted as a bad guy. But when you watch the series, you're like, yeah. Like he's not though. Like kind of, but like not really.
It's a perfect illustration of the storytelling concept that no one is the villain of their own story. Right. And from his perspective, totally valid. Like if you didn't hear that and go, oh boy, and I love that she twigged on, wait, the government injected you with a substance and that caused your rampage. Like, there's the attorney, right?
Brain
that's right.
He like turned
engaged.
on
Yeah. She was ready. She's like, I have a winning case. I hate this, but I have a winning case. And like, you can see like she is ready.
Yep. She's going to vigorously advocate for her client, right? And wherever that goes. Yeah, I thought it was great.
Wherever that goes. Yeah. So I think, he brings up an interesting case. And then we get the very great, probably the best fourth wall moment of the series so far. She's on the phone with Bruce, basically explaining to him, hey, I'm going to take this case. Like, you kind of need to be okay with it. To which two things. One, he was like, look, it was a long time ago. I was a different person. Literally. He looks at the camera and goes, ha. Yeah. I pretty much fell out of my chair laughing. I thought that was the funniest thing. Like, it was just so subtle, but also like, it was like we know.
I love that also firmly acknowledges the Incredible Hulk 100% canon. Ignore the different actor. That is MCU, no doubt.
Yeah.
Fucking vindicated over here. I have been holding on to that for 14 years, saying, I don't care how many y'all didn't like it. It's there. It counts.
It exists. Yeah.
And I want to fully acknowledge I was wrong last week. I was worried that we were only going to get Ruffalo in the first episode.
Oh,
we get him one and done. We got him. but we might get 2 and done because I don't think he's going to be in cell phone range.
He's coming
episode
back
3.
and he's going to come back in episode 6 to be like, this is my son. And
So the thing is,
this is what's happening.
Oh my God, he totally could have fathered a kid when he was on
fathered a kid in
Sakaar.
Sakaar. 100%. That's why he's going to Sakaar.
We know
he's
that
got to go pick up his kid.
Like Cap, Hulk was clearly fucking on Sakaar, right?
Hulk
Like, I mean,
was
that was
100%.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, Hulk was.
Ruffalo's a little busy currently on a project called Mickey 7, which if you look at the IMDb profile, they're like plot under wraps. And I'm like, my dudes, that's a book. Like you can go find the book plot. But it's Ruffalo, Pattinson, Stephen Ewan, Toni Collette, Naomi Ackel.
Damn.
Yes.
It's just like
That's
this
a cast.
absolutely stacked cast on this book that has a very similar plot to Fight. Specifically, if you read it, you would think, oh, that's an EXO. Because it's this person who's considered expendable, and every time they come back, they just tack a new number to the end of their name. So the character's name is Mickey 7.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's an EXO. So for those of you nerds out there, that's from the game Destiny. And every time the EXOs, which they're basically robots with human consciousness, every time they die, they erase their memories and just add up another number at the end of their name. So like, as for those of you who remember, Cade 6 was the 6th iteration of Cade from that.
Oh
So
my God.
he's busy filming that. So I got to imagine they had to find some reason for him to be not around in the show. And what better way than I got to go pick up my son on Sakaar?
So I'm looking. So I'm a science fiction geek. The Mickey 7 was under my radar, not aware of it till you just shared it. So I'm looking at this now. The movie being directed by Bong Joon-ho.
Yeah.
Oh,
he
Parasite, Snowpiercer.
Yep.
Didn't he also do, what's the other?
Yeah, there's another one that he did after Snowpiercer, before Parasite, and I forgot what it was.
Okja.
I mean, Okja. He was also.
Okja, yeah.
I feel like he really kind of broke out, at least in the American scene in 2006 with The Host.
Yes.
Yeah, I love The Host. That's a great movie.
So,
That's a
I
fantastic
mean,
movie.
like big names attached to this. So, like, I am suddenly excited for something I didn't know existed more than like half an hour ago.
Right. Yeah.
Always a great way to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Hulk is now off world. So she is off to basically, defend this case. And then, so that's kind of the show. And then at the very end of the show, she calls the boss. She's like, okay, I am going to defend the case. Like, let's go. And he's like, great, turn on the news. Yeah. And in the news, we get the Abomination was filmed, out of his prison cell in an apparent underground fight club, which is the scene we see him fighting Wong in Shang-Chi. So now we have a generalized timeline that this is taking place here, so she's in LA and that's taking place in San Francisco. But I don't think the fight club was in San Francisco.
No, Shang-Chi was in San Francisco. That was it? It wasn't Madripoor.
I think it began with an M. It's in California, wherever. No. It was in China.
Was it in?
I thought it began with an M.
Well, Madripoor is the fictional city that
Wolverine runs.
Yeah,
yeah.
Which we got
it's a
in
real place.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We got Madripoor.
Yeah, no, it is a real place. I just don't remember what the name of it is. But either way, so we know that he's basically going off with Wong to do these underground fight clubs.
I'm sorry, to conspire, throw the fight, and clean up on the betting, right? I love that little bit in Shang-Chi, right? Like, no. They're not above making a profit.
Right. Hey, Sorcerer Supreme only makes so much money.
That's right. The pay is surprisingly low. It's more prestige than anything else. That's right.
Right. Oh, man. Yeah, so that is the end of episode 2, which I think is fantastic. I think they did such a really good job. The humor with this, I think, was just... Macau, that's what it was. Yep. Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to find it, goddammit.
I saw it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I know that I remember I was like, no, it's a real place, but I couldn't think of where it was. But yeah, so he's going off to, Wong is going in and cleaning up. I want to know, I hope that we learn in episode 3 how Wong and Abomination even meet. Like, how does that whole thing even happen? Because he's been in prison. Wong's been
exactly
Sorcerer Supreming. So like, how did they
What's
meet?
the link? Yeah,
like,
I'm
online
not
chat room. Or?
I'm not aware of any link in the source material that would explain that. So I'm curious to see what that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll find out because that's definitely a even when I saw them in Shang-Chi, I was like, how the hell did they know each other? Like that is a right because I didn't know he was in prison.
Right.
I didn't think he was in prison. I thought he was just
rampaging
out and about in the world or somewhere.
So a couple of unanswered questions that I have at this point. So you mentioned, Michael, that she's in LA. That's where she's been practicing law. But she has to interact with Daredevil at some point, who has been operating thus far entirely out of New York. So will we find She-Hulk going to New York, or will Daredevil leave? And if She-Hulk stays in LA, my friends, does that set up Kate Bishop's private detective agency?
Oh shit!
Because in the comics, she moves to LA to start her private detective agency. That's the Kate Bishop Hawkeye run that I started with, that I love so much, because she goes there and then gets into hijinks with Madame Mask. So
I hope Kate Bishop comes back in this series or another one. So I mean, I'm assuming Echo, but I hope she comes back.
I love her so much.
She's got to, right? She's got to. Could that also set up? If Kate Bishop goes the private detective route, which we got a hint of, right? Like her family business security.
Yeah.
Could that be a pathway for Jessica Jones to?
God, I hope.
Yes.
Well, Jessica Jones. She was also in New York, but that would also be great.
But
to
the whole,
see Jessica Jones.
the industry perspective, right? As a private detective, super powered private detective.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was Jessica Jones. Super strong. I mean, it feels like that's the direction we're going, but we don't know which elements they're going to pull from or which ones they're going to keep in their own.
Yeah.
Right.
We know Kate Bishop, we know that Hawkeye and Kate Bishop exist, right? Because we've name dropped Hawkeye, but they may just kind of stay in New York. Matt Murdock may just come to LA because he's defending a superhero. Maybe they're prosecuting against a superhero or something, and he's defending one.
I mean, obviously they're both lawyers. Maybe he's consulting on the case, right?
Yeah.
Maybe he's a New York counsel because all the damage happened in Harlem. Maybe she wants an attorney in New York to partner with because
that makes perfect sense,
right? Yeah. There's so many ways this.
Or he's he's on behalf of New York,
opposing the parole. Yeah, sure.
The defense. Interesting. And we don't have time for it now, but there was there's another question that I had. I've lost it now. Oh, my question is, and we don't have time for it today, but my question is, because Matt Murdock specifically defended Peter Parker as Spider-Man, what part does he remember defending? Because he defended both, so does he only remember defending Spider-Man, but does he remember defending Peter, or does he just doesn't remember doing it at all? But the news was all over the place that Matt Murdock was defending Spider-Man. So what does he remember? What does he remember? And like I said, we don't have time for that.
How do archival records account for the fact that nobody remembers that?
We look at this that can't be right? You're looking at the piece of paper.
Payment from a May Parker? What was that? Why did I get a payment from May Parker? What was that? Or was that erased? Yeah. Oh, man.
One last closing thought for Jennifer.
Yeah.
A breadcrumb that's dropped in episode 1, and I want to give credit to my SuperPodHeroCast partner, Casey Ryan, for pointing this out today. As Jennifer's scrolling, and I thought this is where you were going with the news articles, when she's on her phone, what is the wallpaper for her phone?
Yes.
America's ass. Jennifer Walters is an ass man.
Hell yeah. I think that's amazing. And I love that. That was another little subtle Easter egg that I think was just absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Agree.
So there you have it, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining us for this episode. We're going to be back again next Thursday to talk about episode 3. But until then, this coming Sunday, we have a brand new episode. We're doing a little sexy September this month. So our first episode for September is going to be the movie, wait for it.
Oh my God.
Nude Nuns with Big Guns. And this is a real movie that exists.
How do you find these movies?
Todd, we've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, clearly. Oh my God.
I am so excited. I have actually watched this. Surprise! I have actually watched this movie before.
No, not a surprise at all.
Wild movie. It is a wild movie, and I'm really excited to talk about it because it is just as crazy as the title suggests it is. So, as usual, if you have not hit subscribe on YouTube here, make sure to do that. Brand new bonus episodes every Thursday. And of course, make sure to subscribe on your podcast player of choice so you'll get notified when brand new episodes drop every Thursday and Sunday. And of course, as always, make sure to share with 100,000 of your closest friends.
And if it helps, text them a picture of Captain America's ass.
There you go.
Yeah, with part of the thing. So, Todd, thank you very much for joining us. Of course, Todd from the SuperPodHeroCast. Make sure you guys are subscribing over there. There is a link down below in the show notes.
We just, last night, we recorded our season 6 opener. So for us, episode 101. So that'll drop in a couple weeks here. But check us out. I'm excited for this season of SuperPodHeroCast.
Hell yeah.
You're excited. You got a lot of great movies still in Thor's helmet. So
and
really
some shitty
excited.
ones. So yeah, all that.
It is what it is.
We did it to ourselves.
It's true. I mean, yeah. It is how it be. All right. Thanks a lot for joining us, everyone. And we will see you next time.